Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. B'vakasha, we're going to continue. The Shem said we're going to continue right now the third Aliya of the week. Again, the rule over here is very simple. You show your cell phone, you might lose it. Sit down, please. Let's go. No, let's go. A few minutes. The third Aliya starts with a person being irresponsible. Whoever wants to stay, nobody's forcing anybody. So we have a person is responsible. We started yesterday in Aliya. In this Parshat, it's talking about you are responsible for all your property, including your animals. Although animals are freelancers, they do whatever they want. You are responsible for your animal causing damage in another person's property. So the right away the Aliya starts with pointing that out to you. If you have animals and they go into somebody else's land and they eat up things that the person grows for his parnasah, you're gonna have to pay for the damage of your fee of your animal. Now, from where do you pay? The Torah tells us also all the damagers, okay? All the damagers always pay from the best field that they have. In case where the damager does not have the best thing in the world, what is the best form of payment? It's gold. Gold, silver, or coins of the Medina, of the land, the currency of the land. What is the second best thing that the person could pay with? It's lands. Lands that have mass production, they produce food, that's something that people make money of. So in that is going to be the secondary to the money, and therefore the Torah tells us if a person has three types of fields, there are three types of fields that a person could have. One is called what? Ziburit, which means the cheapest field. It's rocky land. They cannot grow much there. What about Beinoni? Beinoni is that you could grow year-to-year products like fruits and trees, that grow you fruits. But then there is the one that produces constantly. The best land that produces wheat. The most desirable food is bread that sustains the whole world. So that is going to be the best land. So if a person causes damage to another person via even his animal, he was going to have to pay, the Torah tells us, from the best of his fields. What about a person who lights a fire in his house? He lit a fire in his barn. He wanted to burn his barn, and he miscalculated. What happened was the fire jumped into the other properties, the other person's property, and damaged it. You're also going to have to pay, and also it's talking about from the best of your field. Mitan ishel re'eu kesef. Okay, now we're talking about shomer. If you trusted somebody with items, like certain items that you entrusted him in olden days, they didn't have banks like we have today. So people would trust people with money, or people would trust people with valuables, jewelry, gold, and all those things, clothing, right? So all those things that you gave to your friend, the Torah tells us shomer. If it's a shomer chinam, so there is a rules that the Aliya describes describes all the items. What happens if a person borrows, right? So the question is, it got stolen, or he himself stole it from the person who entrusted him with the item. The Torah tells us, okay, all the things, if he was negligent, you took items from your friend, entrusted you, and you placed it in a place where it's easily accessible for the thieves, or it's easily accessible to your animals. You have a bunch of animals, and your animal stamped on his dresses. He had a collared dress he bought for his daughter, $10,000. You put it in a place where the damage happened because of you. You caused the damage. Your negligence. You're gonna have to promise, or it was damaged. So you're gonna have to say, you're gonna have to go to Beit Din and straighten it out. And the Torah tells us now, if he was a paid watchman, what happens? If he was shomer, if there was any negligence, he has to pay. If there was no negligence, if it was stolen from him with a gun point, there's a lot of things involved. Kiten ish and reo chamor or shor. What about if you entrusted the friend with animals? Right, and now that animal got harmed. So again, it all depends. What was the purpose you gave it to him? If you gave it to him on as a watchman, so he's going to be only responsible on what the regular watchman is responsible for. But if you're paying the man, obviously, we are not talking about where you give an item. Like even in America, you have those guys that they transfer money. You know those guys that transfer money from one business to the next business. They're personally not liable. Right? They get paid $25 an hour, $30 an hour. They're there to transfer and to make a face like they're a watcher. And obviously they're not going to hand over anybody to the money. But they're not there to sacrifice their life to protect the money or the valuables. That's not the job. The job description is they are there to dissuade anybody from attacking. But if they are held at gunpoint, they are not obligated to lose their lives to protect the items, no matter what the payment is. The security guard, you know what I'm talking about, those trucks, the bank trucks, the money walls. The truck, they are, okay, so again, so obviously we're discussing, the Torah tells us all this, there are 4 different types of shomrim. Now, what happens if somebody rapes a girl? The Torah punishes a man. If you rape a girl, in the olden days, nobody would touch her. Nobody. Today is a big haram. There's a big disaster in this world. The men are really don't care about taking divorced girls. So what did that cause? It caused a lot of problem. Why weren't there divorces 100 years and up? 100 years and previous, there were not much divorces. Why not? Because a woman who was divorced, nobody would touch her. That was the problem. So now, if a person would take a rape a girl, nobody would want to be with her anymore. As we said, the Peliyot says, which woman you shouldn't touch? 3 types of women you should not marry. Which one? A widower, you should not marry. Divorcee, you shouldn't marry. And a girl who was sleeping around with other men before marriage. Also, you shouldn't marry. Why? Because she'll always fall on the first boy. The first person who made her a woman, she will always remember him. So you're going to be not a good candidate, not a good marriage. So the Chachamim are very much against that. Today, the world is free of everything. They don't care. Everybody gets married to divorced girls, and they have some good lives also. However, so now everybody's okay with getting divorced, and there's a lot of shalom bayit that caused. So, but what happens here? A man raped a girl. What should she do? So the Torah tells us, in order for her not to be shamed, walking around looking for a husband, and telling each boy that she's not a virgin because she was raped, so the Torah obligates the man who raped her to marry her. But what happens if the father doesn't want? The father doesn't want, he has to, pay a penalty, and the penalty is going to be very steep. There's going to be not just the penalty of 50 shekalim, there's going to be penalty of embarrassing a girl. Imagine yourself, somebody raped a Kohen Gadol's daughter. She's a princess. The guy's going to be ready. If he wants to rape a Kohen Gadol's princess, he's going to have to pay a good $100 million, maybe even $1 billion, just to cover up the crime that he committed. Obviously, if we raped a street girl, a poor girl on the street, there is going to be an embarrassment payment, but it's not going to be the same value as raping the daughter of a king or a princess or a Kohen Gadol or the chief rabbi of Israel. So obviously, all those things, everything goes according to their levels. Not to diminish a girl who is laying in the street, but again, it's bullshit. Busha means an embarrassment. And there is that's why the Torah tells us, we as a community are obligated to help a woman first, before a man who's asking for tzedakah, so that we shouldn't see women laying in the streets and asking for tzedakah, because they're actually open for these monsters to rape them. So that's a side story. The Torah also points out in this Aliya, somebody does avodah zarah, he should be killed. Okay, be careful with another. Torah tells us, what about orphans and widows? Be very careful how you do business with them. They are always right. It teaches us, the Torah tells us, wherever there is an argument, dispute of monetary between a regular person and a widow or an orphan, the halacha is they always win. And Hashem even promises those that cause them suffering, I will kill them. Those that cause the suffering, and their children will be orphans and their widows. What about interest? The Torah tells us prohibition of taking interest in this aliyah also. Okay? Now, if you took a loan, somebody borrowed a loan from you, and he doesn't have money to pay you, the Torah tells us there is such a thing called ashaka. The Shivenu, what are we talking about? It's called a collateral. You're allowed to take a collateral from the person, okay? Whatever he needs during the day, you return it to him, and he returns it to you at night until he pays you. And that's what the Torah tells us. Again, the best neighbors, what they say? With the best fences, right? We have to have rules in order to have the best life. All those rules that are specifically in this parasha, it's packed with rules how to have a successful, a beautiful neighborhood, beautiful life to everybody. Everybody should have a wonderful, successful evening, and Aliya b'kedusha v'Torah.
Amen.